Yes, so if any of you would like to share any of your experiences with the perspectives of the different aspects or levels of consciousness from where we reacted or perceived these four different levels of consciousness. Okay, so yes, please, Pamanand ji.
Yeah, as I was reflecting over the last couple of weeks, pausing every once in a while to see, I found a lot of the times I was the mentality is by me.
Mm-hmm.
So, so I have to do this or I have to do that. Um, Especially in the environment around me, it's very chaotic. So it felt like, I have to do something, or I have to do this, I have to do that.
Yeah.
So there's always that push. Yeah.
Yes, we're all stuck in that, and that's what we are practicing more and more. And if we want to achieve too much, if we want to immediately change the state, it will be very difficult because we're so used, these habits are so strong that we tend to not do it at all. That's why it's good to take mini steps and start with observation, that we really see where are we at. If we are able to separate ourselves from the actions for a moment and just observe, that's already a big step. And then we notice exactly, okay, in these situations, this is how I tend to react. So there are certain areas in my life where I tend to be more the achiever. I have to push through by my own effort. And there may be other areas in my life where I'm more in the flow, where I take it easy, I let it just happen the way it happens. Or there may be other areas where I feel completely victimized. Why is this happening to me? And I can't do anything. So just to sharpen our awareness of that is really the first step to change. And in this whole first pillar, this is all we're doing. We're observing, we're becoming aware, and we're taking mini steps, because otherwise it most likely will not happen, because we are so much in our tracks that even though we know it theoretically, but we haven't yet become that. It has not yet become our identity. That is the last step. So in order for that to become our identity, we first have to go through the other steps. And then, of course, we have the four levels of knowing. First, we have to become aware that we don't know what we have to do. And then we practice it. Then it's consciously knowing something. And then it becomes unconscious. It becomes our second nature. And then it is our identity. Okay, would anybody else like to share before we start our meditation? Okay. Oh, Ladili, yes.
Yes, I have also observed that most of the time it's also by me that, I reflected on, my life and over the past 20 years. And I could see how actually I had pushed through so many, many things.
Yeah.
And and so I realized that it's maybe high time to change this mindset, which was not successful for me actually. And it's quite difficult.
Yes, exactly.
Because it's completely unknown and I feel completely lost and scared, then how to operate, because that's the modus operandi I've been conditioned to. And so that's what I've realized. So I'm trying to relax and say, that's okay. It's going to be all right. You have this opportunity, this to now to behave differently and to discover some other way of being. So that's something huge. And very practically, I've also practiced the torus field, this meditation from earth and the fountain, So I do it very softly in my bed, lie down, and already I can really feel the benefit. So I think it has become integrated. I'm not Yeah, and at least I start to feel how my energy field, is kind of becoming thicker, and I feel stronger and more protected. So
Excellent.
that is really appreciable. Yeah.
Very nice, and that raises your frequency, and then you're also in a much better position to deal with situations, and you're not so much in the
Yes.
mode. You also brought up a very important point that our body becomes conditioned. That is very important. That's why we always include the body, because the body has a cellular memory, and we are habituated to certain actions, how we react in certain situations. So there's a chemical process in our brain. There are certain neural pathways which get stimulated again and again and again. They're like highways, and every activity in the brain causes certain chemical mixture to emit into the body, whatever, all kinds of transmitters, hormones, and so on. So the body gets so used to that it craves it. So it resists. If we start anything new, the body immediately resists. And then because the body resists, our mind gives us excuses why we don't want to do that. And then we come up with all these justifications why we should stay where we are. And this is an unconscious process. We're totally not aware of it. But it doesn't feel right and doesn't feel good to make the change, because it's safer to stay where we are, because that is our certainty. That's what we know. And this other thing is uncertainty, and that's what we don't like. So therefore we stay stuck. And that's why awareness is really the first process. And we have to take it one step at a time, and go slow enough so that our body can adjust to it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Mhm.
All right. So today we are working on this, softening the grip of the by me by lowering the importance, or we call it inflated significance or excessive importance. So we want to get from excessive importance into the mode of care, which is actually the seva mode. That's what our seva ideally should be, that we're flowing in it, we don't feel the strain. It should be something which we like to do, which is natural, which is just in the flow. That's really the ideal, and then we can do it constantly. Then there's no more strain. Please take a very comfortable position, and just let's begin by fully arriving in this space as a group, together in this moment. You may close your eyes and allowing your spine to be full upright, but not rigid. And bring your awareness to your breath, just noticing the natural rhythm of your inhale and exhale. There's no need to change anything. Simply allow the breath to anchor you in the present moment. And now I invite you to bring your awareness on a journey through your body. We are scanning the body for sensations of weight, tension, and constriction. And as we do that, keep on breathing, deep but natural. So we start by bringing our attention to the jaw. Feel your jaw. Is it clenched or is it relaxed? Feel the muscles around your jaw soften. With every breath, your jaw softens, your facial muscles soften. Your brain relaxes. And now move to your shoulders. Are they tense? Are they creeping up towards your ears? Allow them to drop. Relax. And now go down. Scan your chest and your stomach. Feel, is there a knot? Is there any tightness, any tension, any sensation? So just notice it with gentle curiosity. You may also remember a feeling in your body that you do not feel now, but that is familiar to you. These physical sensations are the signature of importance in your body. They are the weight of all the things which we believe we must control. And now bring your awareness to your hands. And imagine that all these tensions, all these worries and to-do lists are held tightly in your fists. Feel the strain in your fingers and in your palms. This is the energy of the clenched fist, the grip of the by me ego, the achiever. On your next inhale, I invite you to slowly and intentionally open your hands. Relax it completely. Unfurl your fingers. Let all the tension leave one by one. And as you open your palms, visualize all the weight, all that tension simply dropping away. Let it just melt away and release it. Take a deep breath in And as you exhale, let it go again completely. Just let it go. Give up control, loosen the grip. And feel this new sensation in your hands. Maybe a tingling, lightness, or warmth. This is the feeling of the open hand and the energy of release, of spaciousness. And for the next few moments, simply rest in this feeling. The feeling of an open, unclenched body and mind. This is the space from which we act with care and not with force. And when you're ready, then slowly bring your awareness back to the room. And open your eyes. Welcome back. So in our last session, we discovered these 4 levels of consciousness from the inner places from which we perceive and act. So we were looking at the to-me state, the world of the victim, the by-me state, the world of the achiever, the doer, through me, the world of flow and surrender, and by him, which is the complete alignment with the divine will of Bhagavan. So today we will focus on the by me level. It is a very powerful and necessary state. This is from where we develop agency, from where we take responsibility, and we learn to make things happen, which is important to get anything done, but it also has a shadow, and that is excessive importance or inflated significance. So there we have to make the distinction between care or priority and excessive importance. And the difference here is the emotions that go along with it, the attachment, the emotional charge. This inflated importance is the inflation of the ego as the doer. So it is this anxious, constricted energy which says that I must control this, and this creates an inner pressure. It's a feeling that the outcome is only on my shoulders, and my worth is tied to its result. And this is something which we usually get programmed in childhood. At a certain stage, the child no more gets the unconditional love of the mother, but in order to train the child, there is a system of reward. If the child acts in a certain way, it gets rewarded. And if it doesn't act in a certain way, it gets, if not punished, but at least it doesn't get the reward which it likes to have. So the child learns that I'm not worthy of love as I am, but I need to become, I need to do something. So that's why everyone naturally gets into that state of victim and achiever. That's a natural programming which every child undergoes because of the training and the understanding that I have to become somebody, I have to do somebody in order to deserve the love of my mother. So therefore, it's natural for us to be in that by me state. You know, I have to achieve that. And that fits also very well with the Bhagavad Gita verse, which we just read in the last Bhagavad Gita lecture by Babaji on Sunday, which is Bhagavad Gita 2:47, Karmani Vatikaraste Ma Phaleshu Kadachana, very famous verse, that we have the right to our actions but not to the fruits. So, and to give importance to the fruits is the rebellion of the mind against this truth, because we are attached to the results. That's why we give it this inflated importance, this inflated significance. So the session today is about softening this grip of the overactive achiever. And it is not about becoming passive, but it is about learning to act with a deep and focused care, and at the same time releasing this anxious, constricted attachment to the outcome. And that's exactly what we want to achieve in Seva, that we act without attachment. We can still give it a priority, but we don't have inflated significance. So these are two energies, and I have shared with you in our WhatsApp group a little slide where we distinguish between the weight of importance and the lightness of care. So the achiever, by me, and the through me, the flow state. So importance is care that has been distorted by the ego's fear and attachment. And that is action which is fueled by the need for a specific outcome, to validate the self. That means the child needs to do something in order to earn the love of the mother or of the parents or the caregiver, whoever it is. Whereas care is the pure energy of presence and dedication. And it is an action of offering, a performance of love, and the focus is on the quality of the action itself and not on the result. So this is what I have shared in the chat. If you want to read it with me, or we can read it, of course, afterwards. So we have the weight of importance has different energy, focus, motivation, inner voice, and the body. So first, let's look at the energy. The energy of the achiever is constricted, tense, heavy, and draining. That's why we cannot hold on to this for very long. There's a certain moment where there's burnout. Many people experience that in their, let's say, 20 or 30s. You know, we have big plans, we want to achieve something, get into some great project or business and achieve, and then at some point there's just burnout because you cannot sustain it. It takes too much tension and stress. So compared to that, the energy of the flow of the through me state is spacious, it's calm, it's light, and it's energizing. It does not drain you, but it gives you energy. The focus of the by me mode is on the future outcome, on the result. Whereas the focus of the flow state is on the present moment, the process. And that's what we also learn in Bhakti. It's not about the result. Bhakti itself is the result, is a fruit. So we don't perform Bhakti in order to achieve something, but we do Bhakti for its own sake. And that is a difference between Bhakti and all other processes. All other processes are performed to achieve something, and when that is achieved, we can throw away the process. It's like the ladder. Like in Jnana, you climb up the ladder, and once you're there, you throw away the ladder. But in Bhakti, it's not like that. So in that regard, Bhakti is also the flow state. Now the motivation of the achiever, the by mode, is the fear of failure and the need for validation. So I have to be loved, I have to be acknowledged. So that's what drives me to achieve something. That's what the child needs in order to get the love of the parents. It wants to produce a result. Whereas the motivation of the flow state is just the love for the action itself, the desire to do the seva, nothing else. That's also Raganuga Bhakti. The inner voice of the achiever is critical and demanding. I must, I should, all this harsh, and that's our inner critic, and we are so used to it that we are not even aware of it, that we are tortured. This tyrant is in our head, constantly telling us what we have to do, what we have to achieve. Whereas the inner voice of the through me state is encouraging, allowing. I choose to do this. That's a big difference. So it's also good if we observe ourselves, our inner talk. How do we talk with ourselves? Do we tell ourselves all the time, I have to do this, I must do this, I should do this? Or do we say, I choose to do this? And we can actually practice this consciously. It makes a big difference. If you start becoming aware of your thoughts and your words, of course. It's easier to start with the words, what am I saying? And then instead of always saying I must, we can change our wording. And that alone changes our energy. It's very subtle, but it makes a huge difference. So it's all about this awareness. Very important. Next, the body of the achiever is tight. A tight jaw, tensed muscles, shallow breath, clenched stomach, the knot. And in the flow state, everything is relaxed. Relaxed shoulders, deep breath, belly breath, open posture. So lowering the importance is the conscious choice to shift from the left column to the right. And it's not about ceasing to act, but it's about purifying this inner state from which we act. And this shift is fundamental if you want to move from a life of karmic entanglement to a life of seva. So now let's make this real, and let's do a little practice where we deconstruct a situation which is charged, emotionally charged with excessive importance. If you have a piece of paper at your hand, then please draw a line in the middle of the paper. And on the left side, on top, on the left column, you write facts. And on the right side, you write story of importance. So we begin by bringing to mind a situation in your life that feels heavy, urgent, and important. So I'll give you a little time to think about that. Any situation where you feel pressured, it doesn't feel so good. If you think about it, you feel a little bit tense. Write this on the top of the page. And now, on the left side, in the facts column, you write only the objective, neutral, and verifiable details of this specific situation or event. So that what a camera would record. For example, I have to finish this project by then and then, or I have a deadline on Friday, or this devotee said this to so and so, or this about me, or I have not received a reply to this message. Anything, just be brutally neutral. So anything related to that, just list it one by one, all the objective facts. Now, in the right column, under story of importance, write everything else. This is the story of the mind and the feelings attached to it. What is the emotional charge of that situation? For example, I will be a failure if I miss this deadline, if I'm not able to achieve this. People will look at me as a whatever. They will be very angry with me. Or this proves I'm not good enough. So capture all your interpretations, your fears, and the identity that you have attached to that. The whole emotional charge, everything, the whole story around it. And when you are ready, just put down your pen. Just want to make sure that everybody has completed. Okay, so now we will feel the energy of these two columns. So first, read what you have written in the facts column and feel the energy. It's neutral, it's manageable. Just feel. And then you read the story column and you feel the weight, the constriction, and notice the difference. and see with clarity that suffering comes not from the facts, but only from the interpretation of your mind of the story. And that is the importance. So that's an optional layer of reality which is created by the mind. And now think about the worst case scenario. Realistically, what could happen in the worst case? Whatever the situation was, if anything you fail, what is the worst case that could happen? And then compare it to the worst case story that your mind creates from that. And now we'll do one last step, which is the one action of care. So look again at the facts column and ask yourself, based on these facts, what would one small, simple action be that I can take with care? So not to fix anything, but to simply address the facts without the emotional charge. For example, I can work for this project for an hour, okay, I can ask for clarification, I can focus on the next task, or whatever small step that could be without the excessive significance. And write this one action down and feel the shift from overwhelm to clarity. Feel moving this drama from by me to a state of flow. And then I invite you to share your experiences, realizations, thoughts, feelings. Did you know?
You're muted, Malati.
Okay, so did you notice a shift? Is there something you can integrate? Yes, let's just start sharing. Please, Pamela.
Yeah, listing the facts was helpful in maybe getting out of my own head in terms of, stressing about it. And it seemed when I was rereading the facts, it seems, it's very simple, right? I can just do a simple, for instance, a project that requires me to add video. And, instead of stressing, I say just dedicate 2 hours a day to working on it. Just set that schedule and do it. Instead of where my mind is like, I need to finish this, and I keep pushing it, keep stressing about it. Doing that, it was helpful to at least say I don't have to stress about it and keep thinking all these plans one on top of the other. Just be in that moment and just do the thing for that couple hours, and it'll get done. But I feel like without that, I get overwhelmed, and then sometimes I don't start. I'm busy doing some other project.
Yes, that's the overwhelmed feeling. And when that comes, then everything tightens, and then we lose that perspective, the flow. Thank you. Janava?
Yes, it was a very powerful exercise for me, as I really am aware about the facts can be just 10%, but the story of importance like 90% of it's a lot. And just the fact to write it, I was feeling very overwhelmed and I had all this feeling coming up. And just to stick with the facts and to be able to say, okay, like you said, what is the action that I can do, made me feel more peaceful, and also more peaceful because it's doable and it's not overwhelming anymore. And yeah, I would like to really implement it because it's really nice. Thank you so much.
We have home exercises exactly to practice
Good.
that. So this will be good. Yeah. Who else would like to share? Yeah, really? Yes.
Yeah, I had exactly the same experience as Janava. When I look at the facts, and I felt quite peaceful and even curious and maybe hopeful. And then when I read the story of importance, I thought, oh my God, I don't even want to read that. I thought, I don't want to read all this. And I realized that actually the story could be completely different based on the same facts.
Yeah.
I thought, but wow, it could be the complete opposite. And yeah, and for me, the worst case scenario, finally, it's not that hopeful as it could be. And then I came to the conclusion, what could I do to this action of care? That just relax, just do what you can, plan it, tack, tack, tack. And anyway, there's nothing more you can do.
Yes.
You did your best, and the result is not in your hand, because it's not through my own power. It doesn't completely depend on me. For some stuff, it depends on me, on what I do, but in my case, it depends on others then. So once I've done everything I could do, okay.
Yeah. That's also a very important insight, not to worry about things which are beyond our control. But that's what we do all the time. And we have to constantly remind ourselves, whatever is in the purview of our abilities, that is something we can do. If we can do only that, and that in the flow state, then there's no worry. But we worry about so many things that are going on in the world, which is totally out of our control. We get so anxious when we have to go to the airport, for example, but we are sitting in the car, we can't do anything, we can't, whether we are worried or not, doesn't change the situation. It only makes us more intense. And when we are worried, then our focus becomes smaller, and then we are less capable of really reacting appropriately. So that alone, that constant reminder to only worry about what we, not even to worry about, but just to do that what is in our care, is a very powerful shift. Yeah. Thank you. Ute, you want to say something?
Yeah. Yes, I want to say something, but I don't know if it's the right time to do it. Can you give me at last a chance to say this? Because my English is not very good and I won't destroy the situation now.
I don't think you will destroy it, so go ahead.
Okay, I prepared it because my English is not really good. Yeah, dear Malati, I want to say thank you. And even so, thanks to your master. You both helped me so much in my healing process. It happens more than I can express. I look forward to working with you in my dreaming garden. I sent also greetings to the group, which I unfortunately haven't had the chance together to get know you very well. Wishing you all a good week and a good training. And I will say sorry that I was not really able to share my impressions, but the learning was very great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I understand that it's a little difficult with the language, and yeah, it sent a big heart. Thank you, Ute. That's very courageous of you to open yourself, and even though it's not easy to express yourself, but yeah, and that's what I really want as a group. We are a small group here, and that we really open up ourselves, and I want to give really enough time and space also that we can experience together, that we can grow together, and difficulties that we have, that we help each other. That is very important. That's what this group is for, to really encourage each other, see each other's challenges, and move through this with the tools that we are learning here. So yeah. Okay. I don't want to force anybody, but Radharini, would you like to share something, or is it also too difficult for you to explain?
Yes, I wrote it in the chat because I cannot talk fluently.
Okay. Okay. Yes, the result is not in your hand. Okay. Yes. Right. Yeah. Yeah. That alone, that realization is very, very important. And I would like us to continue. We only meet once every 2 weeks, but I have prepared, especially now, I'm more conscious of that to keep us on track so that we don't lose enthusiasm, it is really helpful to do these exercises. So I have prepared 3 practices, and you can choose. It's not that you have to do all 3 of them. I'm going to share them in the chat, but there are all practices to become aware of that and to loosen that grip and to change your energy. One is extremely short, and that can be done really with a few breaths. It's a 3 breath technique, and once you understand it, you can practice it anytime. The other is a little more involves writing, but the 3 breath technique, it's only a 30-second reset, and you can use it at the moment where you feel a charged situation. You can do that before you get into a situation where okay, I'm stepping into this meeting, or I have an encounter with somebody, anything where you anticipate the charge, or you are in a situation and suddenly you feel, you feel this, oh my God, you feel overwhelmed, or you feel this push of achiever mood. So in that moment, you do 3 things. You first take 1 breath. So that's the first breath. And you acknowledge the excessive importance. You say to yourself, I notice the pressure to get this right. There's a certain tension. I have to. When you feel your self-talk, even if there's nobody else in the room, it can be just reading an email. It can be looking at your schedule, your calendar, whatever, and oh my God, I have to do this. And suddenly you notice I have to. And then immediately you become tense. So that is the first step. You take the breath, you just see the tension without any judgment. You exhale, and then you take your second breath and you connect to care. And you ask yourself, what is the core value that I want to express here? What is it really? What matters here? Is it about service? Is it that I need clarity? Is it about relationship, love? Just the pure intention without this emotional charge. Connect with this pure intention of what you want to achieve. No story, just the fact. What do I want to achieve with care? And you exhale, and then you take a third breath, and that is to act with presence. You exhale and you release the attachment to the outcome. You just say yourself, I release the fruits, I release the outcome. And you just begin with only the intention just of honoring the care that you just identified in the second step. So what is my pure intention without the drama, without the story? What is the little step I can do with care? So this, in the beginning, this may take a while to implement, but it's a learning step. And if you are able to implement that in charge situations, you're creating a gap from your automatic reaction and the tension of and then the by me, and then the feeling of overwhelm, to a state of natural relaxation and flow. And this is what we want to increase in our life, more and more, the feeling of flow, and that brings us joy. That's the seva mood. But there's just joy of whatever we do. And even if it's something which we don't like to do, because there's a lot in our life which is not exactly according to our liking, but just looking at the facts, okay, what is it? What is the outcome I want to achieve? What do I need this for? Do I need this for just the facts? And then with care, so what is the step I can do for that? And release all the attachment. And you will notice the shift into the flow state. So you will get all that. That's just one of the 3 exercises. And the other is about noting inflated importance in your life. That's a daily awareness practice. And the other is a deconstruction journal, like a deep dive, which is where you have to really analyze. You're writing the weight of importance and the lightness of care, and then you are deconstructing outcome, the fear, the story, and you reorient to care, the core values, the dedicated action, and you release. So they're all related with a slightly different angle, and I leave it up to you if you want to do all 3 or just one of them according to your time. One takes very little time, the other takes a little more time, but it would be helpful to do this regularly so that we stay in this, because this whole pillar over 7 sessions over a month, a period of 3 months, is really built to it has an arc, and we're going through that. And in order to keep the momentum, it would be good to stay in that so that we don't fall back and that we continue to progress on that path. So with that, I would like to end our session today. If you have any questions, any comments, you're welcome to do so. Otherwise, we'll end with our 3 ohms, our small group. So I would like you to just,
Question, the other, sorry,
yes?
I have a question. The other two homeworks I find in the last sessions, or
No, I'm sending it.
I
I'll send it. I will translate it for you into German. I'll make it the German and send it to you privately as before. And I'm sending the English version of these 3 exercises in our chat. So everything is new.
thank you very much.
After every session, we will get a new take-home exercise.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So let us imagine we are sitting together, holding our hands, and from our heart, we are breathing, we are humming, and we are chanting 3 times Om. 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 Radhe Radhe.
And they-
Radhe
See you
Radhe.
next time.